So what we're going to do, we're going to start finding ourselves a spot on the floor. It doesn't matter how you lay, whether you have your knees bent or your feet stretched out, whatever feels most comfortable for you here, so long as you're on your back. This is how we're going to begin. If you feel the need to have a nice big stretch before you get moving, that's okay. Sometimes I find laying down on the floor instantly makes me need to stretch out. You might find that happens for you. All good if that is the case. Am I going to settle ourselves in? So fidget about as you feel you need there till you're in a as comfortable as possible position that you can be laying on the floor. You can take your hands and just rest them on the front of you. You can have them by your side. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to take a moment here and we're just going to start by breathing. We're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth. And again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. Perfect. If your knees are not bent, you're going to just bend them. Feet are going to come flat to the floor. And we're going to gently roll our tailbones away from the floor and press our lower backs into the ground. You will feel a little bit of a tightening through your stomach, so you want to almost like you're trying to gently crunch the bottom of your ribs to the tops of your hip bones there. And this is how we want to hold this position, just with a little bit of tension through our stomach to keep it nice and stable. We're going to take one foot here, it doesn't matter which one, keeping your knee bent. You're going to lift that foot up off the floor. You're going to straighten that leg up. You're going to bend the knee and you're going to touch that heel down to the floor. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. We straighten the leg up, we bend the knee, we touch the heel down to the floor. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Making sure you're keeping your lower back pressed into the floor here. Just waking up through our stomach muscles now. We want them to start really firing, really getting switched on to be able to brace. So doing your best, keeping everything nice and tight, keeping your lower back pressed as firmly into the floor as you feel you can. And just going nice and slow here. We're not rushing through anything. That's the way. I'm going to do two more. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. We're not speeding it up. And then we're going to swap sides. So this is going to be our last one. And then we're going to put that foot down and we're going to swap sides. So we bring that foot away from the floor, straighten the leg as much as you can, bend the knee, heel comes down to touch the floor, back up. Remembering again, we're staying nice and firm through our middle, so your lower back is pressed nicely into the floor. You can use the foot of the leg that's on the floor to help with that. Just gently pressing your heel into the floor. It's going to help with your back staying nice and firmly against the ground and your core nice and tight. So feel good about utilizing this supporting leg here as you go nice and slow, nice and controlled. Everything stays tight. You might find breathing becomes a little bit more difficult while you're bracing through the core. That's totally okay. You will find you'll take a little bit of a shallower breath in and out. Just breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's it. I'm going to do 3 more like this. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Last one. Perfect. Bringing that foot down to the floor. You can just relax your stomach there for a moment. If you want to stretch your arms up overhead, stretch it out that little bit. Feel good about doing that. And when you're ready, setting yourself back up. Again, feet are flat on the floor. We're going to roll our lower backs into the floor beneath us, rolling our tailbone up. We're going to press nice and firmly through the heels, and we're going to lift our hips up off the floor, getting to wherever you can get to, and then we're just going to hold there. So breathing through, nice and strong through the heels, and we're going to hold. Making sure if you're pressing firmly through your heels, you're going to feel this in the backs of your upper legs and in your butt. If you're feeling it in your back, you're not pressing strongly enough with your heels, so you may need to shift your feet a little closer, or you may need to just focus your attention to really press firmly through your feet. You might find that you're actually lifting through your middle, which can be really easy to do. It's really odd to think that pressing down with our feet lifts our middles up, but we get the backs of our legs to do the work here. Breathing through, in through the nose, out through the mouth. It might be a little bit of a shallower breath, that's okay. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. We're going to lower ourselves back down, but we're not going to go the whole way down to the ground. We're going to come to just hovering our hips above the floor if you can, and we're going to hold in this kind of low hovered position, crunching your hips towards the bottom of your ribs there, so we're still holding this. Everything's tight through the middle, strong through the heels here. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Holding our hips just above the floor there, just with as much space as you feel comfortable. Breathing through. Firm through the heels, firm through the feet. You might find you're getting a little bit trembly. If that's the case, that's totally okay. Just working through. Of course, rest as you need. If you feel like you need to take that moment and pause now, it's all good. We're going to be holding for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to lower ourselves all the way back down to the ground now. Taking a nice breath in and out. That's the way. We're going to go back to that first movement, but this time, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, instead of just lifting one leg up, you're welcome to lift both feet up off the floor. Your knees might be just a little bit past 90 degrees to help you keep your lower back pressed into the floor. And we're going to straighten one leg up, bend it, and then bring the heel to the floor. Just sticking to that one side. Of course, if this is a little bit too much, you're welcome to keep that second leg down on the floor, using it to help support your lower back and through your core there. So if you want to have that little bit of an extra challenge this time through, feel really good about that. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Straightening that leg up, bending it back down, reaching that heel down to the floor. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's it. Just taking your time. Straighten that leg up at the top. Bringing your heel up to point towards the roof, bending that knee, and then reaching the heel down towards the floor. But only going so far as you can that you can maintain contact with your lower back and the ground. If you find that that starts lifting away, you want to just stop going so far down with the heel. Stop before you get to the point where you feel your lower back lifting away from the floor. We want to make sure our core is doing all the work here. Straighten that leg up at the top. Lower it back down. We're going to do 3 more. Second last one. Last one. Perfect. And we're going to swap sides. You can bring that opposite heel down to the floor now if you're swapping sides, or you can keep both legs hovering and just switch sides. Heel reaches up towards the roof, and then extending that leg gently, keeping that little bend in the knee, down to the floor. Again, only going so far as you can to maintain contact with your lower back on the floor. And it may be different on this side to your starting side. If that's the case, totally okay. Just work with where you're at. There's no right or wrong here. It can be quite common for our bodies to move differently on each side. depending on our hand dominance, we tend to use our dominant side more, so it can sometimes be a little bit stronger, a little bit more stable than our non-dominant side. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just work with each side with where it's at, resting as you need as well. Don't feel like you've got to just follow along to me. Work within your limits with what is feeling right for you. That's the way. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. We're going to do another 3. No rushing here, just because we're close to the end. We want to maintain that same slow, steady pace. Second last one. Last one. Come back to our starting point, and then both feet can come down. Again, if you need to stretch yourself out here, point your toes, reach your feet, arms come right up to the roof. Get nice and long through the body. Take that little moment. When you're ready, bending the knees again. Feet are firmly on the floor. Rolling our tailbone away gently from the floor so that our lower back presses in. We're going to press down with our heels and lift our hips up as high as we can there. You don't want to be overextending too much through the hips though. So if you're finding that you're feeling that strain in your back, it might also be because you're trying to push a little further past a nice neutral kind of position there with the hips. But we're just holding strong through the heels, feeling that work in the top backs of our legs through our hamstring muscles, feeling it in our butts here. They're big muscles and they are really strong, and that's where we want to be targeting for this. We don't want our lower back to be doing any of the work. It is not what its job is. So we get our legs to do that by being really firmly planted with our feet, really strong, firm pressure with our heels, pushing the ground down with our feet, the byproduct of which is that our hips will lift away from the floor. Holding and breathing through, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You don't want to really soften too much through the middle, so you don't want to exhale completely. You might have a little bit of a shorter breath here as you do this, just to maintain a little bit of tension through the torso. When we breathe out completely, everything in our middle tends to kind of collapse a little. It gets a bit soft and it's harder to support our bodies in general. So breathing through, we're holding for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to lower our hips down almost to the floor. We're going to go to that low hover again, and we're holding. Hips are just above the floor now, wherever that may be for you. If you're feeling like this isn't really working for you, you're welcome to just do a little pulse, lifting your hips up and then back down, up and back down. If you're feeling like that hold is a little bit too much for you, you're most welcome to do that as an alternative. Just a little bit of a lift and then coming back down. Breathing through here, just staying nice and firm through the heels, nice and strongly planted through the feet. Breathing through. You got this. Doesn't matter if you're feeling a little bit trembly, doesn't matter what's happening there, we're just going to hold as best as we can, which means if you need to take a moment and break, that's totally okay. We're going to go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips come down on the floor, straightening those legs out and just taking that moment. Breathing. I'm just going to pause here. I'm going to take some nice full breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. If you don't feel good about going through your nose, just breathe as whatever way feels right for you. In through the nose, out through the mouth. That's the way. If you find your heart rate's a little bit up, this is a nice chance to just take some slower controlled breaths and slow that down. That's it. And when we're ready, we're going to sit up however we feel we can get there. We're going to come to sitting. Our legs are out in front of us. We're sat kind of a comfortable distance away from our heels. We don't want to be too cramped. You can bring your hands to behind your body and find that kind of middle point for your hips between your hands and your feet here. From here, once you've found that central position, make sure your fingers face away from your toes. We're going to come into just a low hold here, a nice low little crab hold. Firm through the heels, firm through the hands, and we're just hovering our hips just that little bit up off the floor. Chin is tucked just gently towards your collarbones. You don't want to be kind of pushing your neck forwards or anything like that. If this is a little bit too much from your hands, you're welcome to do a lower variation from your elbows here. Same sort of thing. Find that position that works for you. So if you need to come from your elbows, feel good about that. If the hold is too much, you're welcome to do almost a little pulse there. So lifting the hips and coming back down. Lifting the hips and coming back down. So find what's going to work for you. If you need to bring your hands a little bit further away, that's also totally okay. Resting as you need, working with where your body's at, with what feels right for you. Because what I'm doing isn't necessarily going to be exactly what you're feeling good about doing. And that's totally okay. Just taking your time here. We're going to hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips come down. Arms come away from behind us. Feet come together. Knees come together in front of us. We're going to sit ourselves back just until our fingertips reach our knees, and then we're going to sit ourselves forward again. Slowly lowering ourselves back until our fingertips get to our knees, and then sitting forwards. Breathing through here, breathing out as you lower yourself down. Holding, sitting up, breathing in. Or if that breathing pattern doesn't feel right for you, you can breathe however you want to breathe. Don't feel like you've got to do it a certain way just because I'm saying. Really find what is feeling good for you. That slow, nice controlled lowering back and then coming to sitting. Remember, only going so far as you can so that your fingertips get to your knees, and then sitting forward from there. That's the way. We're going to do another 4. That's it. 3. We're not rushing here. Try and keep that nice, slow, controlled pace. Second last one. On our last one, we're going to come to that sat back position, fingertips to the knees, and we're going to hold there. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to slowly lower ourselves down towards the floor, taking as much time as you can. Crunching your ribs to the tops of your hips until you're all the way back down to sitting. I'm going to take a moment here. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Perfect. When you're ready, we're going to come back to sitting. Bringing our feet to somewhere about hip width apart. Again, our hands come behind us to whatever position feels good for us, or again, going from your elbows, whatever feels right for you. And we're just going to gently lift our hips to the floor. If you need to put a little bit of a bend in your elbows there, feel good about that. You don't necessarily want to lock them out because it's just not great for our elbows in general. So feel good about putting just a gentle bend into the elbow to take some of that pressure off. Hips are just hovering here. If you want to increase the intensity, you can do a little march with your feet. So 1 foot at a time, comes up away from the floor, just bringing that knee gently towards your torso. If you don't feel good about doing that little march, you're welcome to just hold. If the hold is too much, you're welcome to just pulse. So hips come down, slowly lift them up, slowly lower them back down, slowly bring them back up. Just doing that nice kind of slow, controlled pulse there. But finding the way this movement works best for you is perfect. That's the way. We're going to go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips are going to come down. Sitting forward, coming off our hands. If we need to give them a little bit of a shake out there, feel good about that. Sometimes our wrists aren't always used to having a lot of pressure on them. That's totally okay. We're going to set ourselves back up. Feet come together, knees come together again. Sitting forward, slowly lowering ourselves back until our fingertips come to our knees, and then sitting forward from there. Try to keep your back as straight as you can here as you do this. You don't want to kind of roll. Nice straight back as much as you feel you're capable of doing. However that is, it's perfect. So don't worry too much about that. Sitting back, coming forwards. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. That's it. Just taking your time here, really controlling that sit back. The slower you go, the more challenge you're going to give yourself. So feel really good about that. Taking your time there and exploring what pace feels right for you. That gives you that little bit of a challenge, but is also very manageable because it's really what it's all about. There's no point in doing it if it becomes too much really quickly. We want to find that nice balance. We're going to another 4 of these. This is 3. 2 more. Last one, and on the bottom of this last one, we're going to hold. So fingers come to the knees, and we're just going to hold there. Breathing through again, keeping your back as straight as you can as you do this. Breathing in through your nose, out through the mouth. It's okay if things are getting hard. Squeeze your knees together, squeeze your legs together, borrow some of that tension from your lower body there. We can always borrow tension when we're creating tension within our body. We're going to hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to slowly lower ourselves down. Taking as much time as you can. Doesn't matter if that's as much time as me, if it was faster, if it's slower. All good. And we're just going to come down to laying flat. We can stretch our arms and legs out here. And we're going to take a moment and just breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slowing that heart rate down, just allowing your body a moment to relax. Perfect. When you're ready, we're going to come to sitting again. But from sitting, we're going to make our way over onto our hands and knees. From here, hands can be anywhere from under your shoulders to out in front of you. Find what feels right for you. If your wrists aren't really keen on having a lot of pressure, you're welcome to prop your elbows up onto something that's at a similar height to kind of your elbows to keep yourself nice and level. what we're going to do, we're going to take one leg. It doesn't matter which leg we start with. We're going to extend it straight out. It's going to come back down. It's going to come out to the side, back down, keeping that bend in the knee, and then keeping that bend in the knee again. We're going to bring the heel straight up to the roof, back down. So we straighten out. We come out to the side. We come heel up to roof. Nice and slow, nice and controlled here. Out to the back, lift to the side, heel to the roof. That's it. Straight out to the back, out to the side, heel to the roof. That's the way. Straighten that leg. Lift it to the side. Heel to the roof. Just maintaining a nice slow controlled pace here. We're not rushing anything. And try to be as balanced as you can. It can be easy to kind of really lean away from this leg that we're moving. So doing your best to maintain a nice balance between your hands and the knee that is on the floor can be really helpful there. That's it. We're going to run through this 2 more times. So out to the side, heel to the roof. 1 more time. Straighten the leg back. Lift to the side. Heel to the roof. And then that knee's going to come back down to the floor. If you need to take a minute here, shake out those hands. If they're not used to having a lot of weight bearing, that's okay. What you can do, backs of the hands come together, keeping them stuck there, elbows drop down towards the floor. Scooting our wrists in the opposite direction that they go when we put our hands on the floor and we kind of weight bear with them. When you're ready, we're going to come back to hands and knees and we're going to go to the opposite side. So we take our second leg, we extend it straight back, back down, out to the side, back down, heel to the roof. Extending straight back, out to the side, up to the roof. Now you might find this side feels different to the other side. That's okay. It's very likely that it could be the case because our body, each side moves so differently. And our stability on our sides can be very different, especially in positions like this. Just taking our time here. We're not rushing through. Oh, that was the wrong order. Let's try that again. Leg out to the back. Leg out to the side. Heel up to the roof. That's the way. Nice and slow. Nice and controlled. Extending that heel straight out to the back. Lifting that leg to the side. Just getting to wherever you can get to. Heel to the roof. That side lift you might find is different on each side. It's totally okay if that is the case. It's letting your body move where it's going to move. That's the way. Extending the heel straight back. Lifting it out to the side. Heel to roof. That's it. That's the way. We're going to do 4 more of these. So this is 4, 3, 2nd last time. Extending the heel straight out, lifting the leg out to the side, heel comes to roof. Last time. Extending the leg back, leg out to the side, heel to the roof. Back down on our hands and knees, and we're just going to come to sitting. Whew. Shake those hands out. You can do some little wrist circles. Backs of the hands come together, knees come down, elbows come down, not our knees. Elbows come down, keeping the backs of the hands there, stretching out. That's the way. Getting warm now. Alrighty. Coming back over onto our backs. Laying back down. Settling ourselves in here. We're going to take our hands and we're just going to bring them up to besides our ears here. So you don't want your head, grip your head or anything. Fingertips beside your head here. We're going to take our knees and we're going to bring our feet up with the floor, hold our knees bent at 90 degrees. We're going to extend one leg, and as we do, the knee that is bent, we're going to crunch our abs, lift our shoulders, and twist our elbow to reach that bent knee. Come back down, swap sides. Just getting to wherever you can get to. The reason we don't want to grip our head here is because we don't want to be pulling ourselves up by our necks. So a nice little rotation, a nice little lift of that shoulder, extending the opposite leg. Of course, let that leg extend to wherever you're going to get to. It doesn't have to be where mine is at. It could be higher up in the air. That's totally okay. Just working with where you're at. Elbow to knee, extend the opposite leg. Nice and slow, nice and controlled here. Maintaining at this middle point here, your lower back pressed nicely into the floor. And only extending that leg so far as you can that you maintain that pressure of your lower back into the floor. Let that be the indicator of where your leg reaches to. Don't try and stretch it out just because I'm demonstrating it like that. Let your body tell you where you're at and work with that, because that's what's going to keep you feeling good. It's what's going to keep your back safe. We're going to do another 2 each side. That's it. One more each side. And then just relaxing. Feet come to the floor, hands can come away from the sides of the head. Breathing. If you want to stretch your legs out there, stretch your arms out, get a nice big stretch through the stomach. You can do that. Take that moment. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Perfect. That's it. And when you're ready, setting yourself back up. Hands are going to come to under the backs of the hips here, just to elevate our pelvis slightly. We're going to tuck our knees up towards our torso, getting to wherever you can get to. You notice I'm not sitting on my hands here. My hands are quite free. I'm on the backs of my wrists, because if we sit on our hands, we kind of crush the little hand bones that we have. So hips on the backs of the wrist as best you can. We're going to extend both legs straight up, and then we're going to straighten our legs out, but just getting to wherever you can get to. So it doesn't matter where that is. Legs come up, legs straighten out. So maintaining a nice tight stomach there. Lowering your legs only so far as you can while you can maintain tightness through the core. You don't want your lower back to start arching. You want to stop before that point, because that's when we stop using our stomach muscles and we just let the movement of our spine take over. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that we're moving in a way that's getting those stomach muscles really working. And again, your movement doesn't have to look like mine. It's going to look like however your movement will look for you, because that's how your body moves, and that is perfect. It's being nice and slow here, nice and controlled. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it. We're going to do another 4 of these. That's it. It's 3. Second last one. This is our last one. That's it. Knees come back to our starting position, and then feet come to the floor. You're going to hop off your hands there and give your fingers a little bit of a wiggle. Shake them out. Just taking a moment to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again, if you feel like you want to stretch your arms up and get a little bit of length through your stomach there, if you're feeling that burn, that's totally okay. Just working with where you're at. When you're ready, bringing your knees back up off the floor. Hands again come to the sides of our head. Really mindful, you don't want to put your fingers behind your head at all. Stay to the side, because otherwise you really do, even if you don't realize it, you tend to start gripping the back of your head. Fingers, side of the head. We're going to extend one leg, we're going to turn, and we're going to bring that elbow to our opposite knee again. Swapping sides. Again, extending that leg only so far as you can so that your lower back remains in contact with the floor. Elbow to knee. Hands stay beside the head. Don't let them trick you into thinking that they can go behind. We want to roll across at the torso as far as you can. Bring that shoulder up off the floor as much as you feel comfortable to. Breathing through. That's it. We're going to go for another 4, 3, 2 more. So second last one. And our last one. Each side. Perfect. Knees come together. Feet come down the floor. Take that moment breathing through here. We're just resting. That's the way. If you need to stretch yourself out, feel good about that. You can straighten your legs right out. You can reach your arms up. Give your stomach just a little minute. Be like, it's okay, little friend. We're going to get through this together. When you're ready, we're going to take our hands. We're going to bring them to under the backs of our hips again. Sitting on the tops of our wrists. Knees are coming up off the floor. Straightening our legs up towards the roof. Extending our legs out. Remember, only going so far with that leg extension as you can. By maintaining a nice controlled back. No arching through the lower back. So stopping before you reach that point, wherever that may be for you. There's no right or wrong here. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Breathing through. In through the nose, out through the mouth. We're not rushing anything. We're going to keep a nice equal pace. The pace that we lift our legs up with is the pace that we extend them out with as well. So we don't want to do one section faster than the other section. Just taking your time. That's it. We're going to do another 4 of these. So legs come up and then extending out. That's the way, maintaining that nice bracing through the core. This is 3. Doing really well. Almost there. Remember, don't hold your breath. You want to breathe. Second last one. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just go a little bit shallower with that breath. Last one. Knees come back to our starting position. Hands come out from under our hips, and then our feet come down to the floor. Give our hands a moment. Let the blood come back to them. Sometimes they can get a little bit crushed, even when we are sitting more on the backs of our wrists there. Breathing through. We're going to finish off on our sides. You can have your hand just under your head for support. You can have it propped up. Whatever feels good for you. Knees are bent at 90 degrees. Stacked over the top of each other here. We're going to hover about 1 fist distance, one knee above the other. We're going to come up to halfway. We're just going to do a little pulse here and back down. A really short little pulse. Nice and slow, nice and controlled, so we're not rushing anything here. Just a little lift. Not even getting to like the halfway point of where we could probably get our leg raised up to. It's a little short pulse here. That's it. Doing well. Breathing through. Keep it going, keeping that shin parallel with the floor. Sometimes our foot likes to lift up and kind of creep away on us. We want to make sure that that is not happening. It's doing your best to keep that leg nice and level. That's it. We're going to go another 4, 3. That's it. You got this. Second last one. Last one. Leg comes down. If you need to give that side butt a little bit of a punch there, get that lactic acid out, you're more than welcome to. And we're going to spin around. I'm going to spin around. You can just roll over if you like. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So knees bent to 90 degrees. Again, arm propped under the head or head just resting on your arm, whatever feels right for you. Hover that knee about 1 fist distance above. And then we're going to again lift. Just a little pulse here. We're not going very far at all. This is quite a small movement here. We want to keep it controlled. Slow, steady pace. Keeping the shin parallel with the floor. Breathing through. In through the nose, out through the mouth. That's the way. Slow and steady. You might find this side feels different to the other side. It might be easier. It might be harder. That's okay. Each of our sides is different based on our handedness and based on what side is more dominant. Or it can also be influenced by things like injuries and stuff like that. Just doing your best here. We're going to go for another 4, 3, keeping it slow, keeping it controlled. We're not going fast. Second last one. And our last one. That's it. Knee comes down. Give that side butt a little bit of punch if you like. Get that lactic acid out. We're going to come over onto our fronts. Finishing off. Hands are going to come to under the fronts of the shoulders. Just going to come in a nice gentle cobra pose here. Looking up at the top. Straighten your arms just as much as you feel you can. If this is a little bit too much, you're welcome to go into a baby cobra. So elbows under the shoulders. Looking up and just holding that nice little bend through the spine there. Sometimes our backs aren't used to coming into this position, so it can be a little intense. So really start with where you're at. A nice big stretch through our fronts here, stretching out our stomachs. Looking up at the top, wherever that may be for you, and coming back down. Breathing through. I'm going to do 2 more. Last one. Perfect. Coming back down. Up onto our knees and then to sitting. We're going to do our final movement. 2 options. We're going to go a 90-90 split. So one leg out in front, knee bent at 90 degrees, one leg out to the side, knee bent at 90 degrees, coming forward over the front leg, or you're welcome to go into a pigeon pose, so bringing that leg straight out behind you. So if I come on a little side on for you, leg comes straight out behind you, front leg still there, and just holding this position. What we're really trying to do is just stretch out our side butts. So find that position that works for you. I have preference for the 90-90 split, but if you want to go pigeon pose, extend that leg, side leg here straight out behind you, you are most welcome. Just coming forward over that front leg, stretching out through the side of the hip there. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. taking your time here. You might find the longer you hold this position, the more space you can get. Perhaps you can creep further a little bit forward more. Perfect if you can. If not, just wherever you're at is all good. That's it. You're going to slowly walk your hands back up and we're going to swap sides. So our back leg or our side leg now comes to the front and our front leg comes to the side or out the back. And same thing again, just coming forward over that front leg. Oh my gosh, you might find that one side is far tighter than the other. That's okay. So it might even surprise you. If you find that that is the case, that you weren't expecting one side to be that tight, all good. Our body moves the way it moves, and that influences where we do and don't feel tight, and it influences each side of our body in different ways. Just feeling really good about that, wherever it is you're at, regardless of what that may be on each side of your body. Just taking that moment, holding. If you find you get a little bit more space, you're welcome to creep yourself that little bit further forward, get a little bit deeper into that stretch. Breathing through. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Perfect. And when you're ready, you can just make your way to sitting. And we are done. Thank you so much, friends.